Today in the crypto space, we see the market getting a small bounce to the upside, Bitcoin at around 26,750 and Ethereum up approximately 1% at 1550. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are pretty much waiting for Ethereum to show them the way to the higher levels, or are we going to take a bigger dump to the downside where we can accumulate on a fire sale? In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin, one project, AI project, that of course is super bullish and it has retraced to a good level of support. And that project is called TAO. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, or you can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. And of course, guys, join that Discord. The Discord is a great community, lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, learning material, and all that good stuff. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been a stable coin for the last little while, going sideways. Ethereum pretty much doing the same thing, although it's up approximately, let's say, 1%. Not really doing much, and the rest of the altcoins doing a very similar thing, going sideways, maybe consolidating, maybe looking for a bear pennant, maybe a continuation to the downside. And for me, guys, it's all about that momentum. It's all about the momentum, and again, it's all about Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does decide to come down to the 25k level to look for support, expect some of these altcoins to come down with it. And of course, those will be the fire sales that we will be looking at here on the channel. Buying low, selling high, and that's the way we make those gains. All right, let's continue here, guys. So the market is pretty concise here, pretty much doing a very similar thing throughout the market. A little bit of a retracement, and now kind of going sideways, holding up, potentially looking for a bit of relief to the upside is very possible here, guys. So of course, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin as a leading indicator to see if Bitcoin in fact is going to get that relief to the upside, or if we're just kind of going sideways, maybe coming down and continuing to the downside. And of course, a lot of these altcoins, especially the layer ones that we've been looking at Avalanche, Solana, even the layer twos like Matic, have been coming down at good levels, at important levels of support. And if they don't hold, it doesn't look good overall. It's not looking good. So we're hoping that Bitcoin can give us the way and lead the way to see if we get that support, so that we can scale into some of the projects that have been coming down significantly, like of course even Uniswap coming down approximately 9%, AVAX 15%, XLM another 9%, give or take. You can see that there are some good retracements, some of them double-digit retracements, some of them getting a bit of relief. Look at CRO getting a bit of a bounce today, 3.7%, and so on. There are a few here and there. Optimism, up approximately 2%. Even Arbitrum is up a little bit, but nothing really to celebrate over, guys, because this could just be a bit of relief before we continue to the downside. So something to consider here is that we could be consolidating. We could be looking for a potential zone for a bit of relief and then get the continuation. Render hovering around $1.73. Guys, I could still get into my position, buy my bag back on a fairly good discount here, but I hope that I can see Render show some strength at lower levels, right? So I can really accumulate really hard at lower levels. I'm looking at $1.20, $1.25. If we get there, I'm interested. Injective up a little bit today, and we have some other opportunities. I'm interested in looking at, of course, Render. We'll put Render on the list. Of course, Render. I want to talk about Rune. I have that one on the list as well for tonight, guys. If you have any projects that you want me to cover in tonight's live stream, the best time and place to do that is tonight at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. I'll definitely put your requests in top priority, and we see Rune up 10%. That's the thing. We made a slight double top here, no higher high, which means no break of structure, and it could be that maybe we continue to the downside in the immediate short term with regards to Thorchain to prove to the bulls that this is potential support zone, right? This is what Rune is all about right now. proving to the market that we are getting support. Yes, it got a bounce of 10%, but grand scheme of things, we know how volatile Rune can be, and if Rune comes down again, it could be just another continuation to the downside. What else do we have? Good frac share, looking good overall, 5% to the upside, while the market is pretty looking a bit, stagnant, but fracture okay, not bad at least. 4.5% for Caitlin, still within range though, still within range. Higher highs, none yet so far. So we're getting maybe a quadruple top type of thing, maybe a ascending triangle, possibly looking for a bullish breakout to the upside. Chili's not really doing much. I haven't seen Chili's do anything for the last little while. So this is something to consider, guys. We can see that overall we're still in a retracement phase. Even KuCoin coming down, holding sideways, and many other projects, guys. So the overall consensus for me right now is, look, we're getting a bit of relief. It is Friday, right? We're entering the weekend. This is a very scary time to actually be trading on the weekend. The weekend is very tough to trade. Understand that the retail market is out. The order books are very thin. The manipulation is really real over the weekend. So be careful out there over the weekend. It's a good time to take a break. It's a good time to do some research. It's a good time to start learning and researching some projects. Do some deep dives. Guys, speaking of deep dives, expect a deep dive update on Sunday. I'm going to be releasing a deep dive. I've been doing research today for the majority of the day, and guys, it's great. It's great times to basically learn about some of the fundamentals, some of the tokenomics, the teams of some of these projects. And the project that I have been studying today and looking into today is actually looking pretty good, not too bad. So expect an update on Sunday. I'll be releasing that video Sunday afternoon-ish. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin our analysis talking about Bitcoin. What's going on with Bitcoin? Nothing much, to be honest. Honestly, we barely even got overbought on this pump to the upside. This nice little rally up, we barely got into overbought. We didn't even touch the overbought zone, and we're slowly rolling over. And you can see the momentum finally broke this trend, breaking below the trend and maybe rolling over to get into oversold conditions. If Bitcoin hits that oversold scenario, what do we expect? We expect potentially a 25k Bitcoin. And if it does come down to that level, we're desperate. At the end of the day, the bulls will be desperate. Why? Because if it breaks below 25, we know we're coming down. We have targets 22 to about 19. That's what I'm interested in. Obviously, we're going to wait for momentum to get oversold, give us some signals of bullish divergence, and then we'll start scaling in. But I'm looking at somewhere in between here, about 18, 19 to about 22. Let's see if we get support around this zone or this zone. Either way, I'll be DCing not only into Bitcoin, but mostly into altcoins. Guys, I'm into altcoins because we know that they can make some real life-changing gains, right? The volatility is good, especially you're buying into a bear market, bottoms, confirmation lows, all of this, accumulation phases. All these scenarios do present great opportunities for accumulation, for some great gains to the upside in the up-and-coming bull run. We know the bull run is going to come one day. We don't know exactly when it's going to get triggered, but as soon as it gets triggered, it's going to be too late. It's going to be very late to start accumulating. Right now, this is when you should have a plan. You should be building your convictions on some of these altcoins, especially the ones that are, new and up-and-coming and very hot narratives, right? And then at the end of the day, you should be DCAing into those hot narratives, into those projects that have great fundamentals. That way your bags are packed, ready to go. Bitcoin right now, there's nothing really happening, guys. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but you can see that we're just hesitating here as it potentially wants to drop and test that 25k level. Be careful because it could happen, especially in the weekend, right? We're going to be very attentive over the weekend, but I'm not going to get into any risky trades over this weekend. All right, guys, let's take a look at the coin for today, TAO. A Bittensor, really interesting project, part of the AI narrative, and it's a project that, in my opinion, should be very, very bullish, given the fact that it totally embraces decentralization, and the decentralization of AI is something that we need. Okay, we know that the majority of our AI that exists currently in the mainstream is pretty much governed and owned by big tech. That's problematic, right? Especially if AI is going to be this tool that's going to revolutionize the world. We want to make sure that the ownership and the power behind this tool is decentralized, and in fact that it's governed by the people rather than one central organization. So this is what TAO tends to offer. a very decentralized way of governing this knowledge, or these tools, these technological innovations that should change the way we interact with computing. And so for me, this is a step in the right direction. Okay, so TAO, we can see that the price action did dip down to lower levels. We talked about this area of a good de-risking zone. Obviously, it wasn't the absolute top, but it was a decent zone to take profit and de-risk, given the fact that now we have retraced significantly. We're in a net positive scenario, taking profits here and coming down to the retracement zone. Now you got to be aware that my retracement zones are pretty intricate. They're not very blind, in the sense that I wait for some indications. My major indication to actually get in a scenario where I start accumulating is to wait for the momentum to show me oversold conditions. Now you can see right here the RSI barely got oversold. Okay, we did get signs of bullish divergence, especially on lower time frames based on these two bottoms. We can take a look at that in a second, and then we get that nice relief to the upside, and we got rejected at the top of the volume gap, which is very, very typical. The volume gaps, the tops and the bottoms, act as reaction points. So you gotta kind of stay one step ahead and anticipate, yes, this was a good buy the dip opportunity, only if the momentum was oversold. Was it? It wasn't. So it came down even further. We got into this green arrow, right? Was the momentum oversold? Somewhat. It was not bad. You can see that the RSI did peak into oversold conditions very, very slightly. It wasn't the most conviction that we could get, but not bad. So if you got into this green candle, okay, at least you got into a position, a bit of a DCA opportunity, right? But now you can see that the price actually is even falling lower, and we're making a somewhat of a double bottom right now. And if you look at the momentum is still currently upward sloping, in the sense that we're making a bullish divergence. Basically higher lows on the RSI, double bottom on the price action, pretty much. And you can see that type of pattern basically suggests that we should slowly be making a pivot point to the upside. Now, is this actually going to hold up this level? This horizontal level is quite interesting, given the fact that we have a nice volume gap below. So if we do not hold this level, there's a bit of weakness below, right? So looking left, we have some price action here to look out for. These wicks have very low volume, something to consider. Low volume price action all around this area. Okay, so this is very, very, very clear here on the volume profile, that we start to diminish the amount of support that we could have within this gap below $47. If we fall below, if we get the momentum to actually fall below the $47 mark, I'm expecting it to hit about $40, $41. That would be a very, very deep retracement. And it's, pretty much a 786 retracement, 886 potentially, right around the zone at the previous low. And we're going to potentially want to come and test the previous low for some support, or get close enough to it to see if the bulls have it in them to hold up the price. Now, let's back it up a little bit. Now, if you can see, we got a nice impulsive move to the downside. Now we're getting some sideways consolidation. Now the sideways consolidation can hang out here for a bit, given the fact that the momentum, the RSI, is pretty much hanging out in this chop zone area, which is the 50% zone of the RSI. For me, that's chop zone. Chop zones are not great places where we should be trading. Okay, in my opinion, if you see that the momentum is stuck on the chop zone, the ideal time is to get it into lower time frames and see if you can catch some volatility on lower time frames. But that means that you got to get in and get out based on those lower time frames. Don't start getting into long holds, because if the daily is in the chop in the chop zone, you can expect that you'll get basically chopped up and spit out. You got to get in and you got to get out on each pump and dump, pretty much. Okay, so on lower time frames. So the daily right now is looking okay. We're getting class A bullish divergence, pretty much. You can see very nice double bottom price action. As long as this RSI keeps on upward sloping, we're still in this divergent zone. But we have seen in the past that the divergence, in fact, could exist with multiple drives, in the sense that we could go up and down many times around this zone while the momentum keeps on shifting to the upside. Okay, so that's the risk that you're taking. But at least you know that we're getting good support on this horizontal, and we do have a volume gap right below that is, a reaction point that we have already talked about many times, and we fell and we're touching the top of the volume gap. Could we fall again and touch the bottom of this volume gap, which is again at $40? And if it does get there again, that's your next DCA opportunity. So honestly, what I'm saying is this is obviously a good zone to watch out for. I'm going to turn this red. Let's do that right now, because that's a TP zone to watch out for. I'm not saying that we should blindly easy. But if we come down, get a bounce, this is a zone where you might see the momentum finally get overbought again, and you might want to de-risk at this level. And because we have good levels of horizontal resistance, bottoms and tops all throughout this area that is confirmed by the volume profile, you may want to DCA out again and start thinking about protecting your gains, especially if you were able to get in at a good position, right? So what we're really talking about is, look, if you DCA'd here, DCAing right here, and then absolute level to DCA for me, where I would stop is right about $41. So I'm going to put another green arrow in there so that we can keep ourselves in check. Okay, so obviously DCA zones. And what is the probability of us getting there? Honestly, the question is, did we actually test that over the oversold conditions and get some real good pivot point out of it? Did the bears show us weakness? Did the bears are done? Are they exhausted? Is it time for the bulls to kind of step in and take this price to those higher levels? Is Bitcoin done pushing the price down? Yes, TAO right now is up approximately 2.6%, which is very healthy today, given that the rest of the market is, you know, somewhat sideways, maybe up a little bit, but TAO is doing pretty good considering, right? So the question is, do we get overbought? Do we finally get overbought right now based on this little consolidation here at the bottom of the range? I would be very hesitant and prepared for this thing to come down and DCA. Don't full on get in your whole bag in here, your full position, because you never know. It could come down for another move to the downside. Okay, so Fibonacci wise, what do we got here Fibonacci wise? Let's look at swing low to swing high. And you can see that the current retracement is pretty much reaching that 786 almost. It fell below the golden pocket 618. Right now it's in pretty much nomad's land. We're pretty much trying to get to the 786. We get here, we have the 86 down here. We have levels, right? So right now, even the Fibonacci is not really telling me much other than that the retracement is getting deeper and it's getting really healthy, okay? Once we break below the 618, it's very likely that we start going to the 886, okay? So this is the thing now. Maybe we're going to get that impulsive move through the volume gap because there's no support here, and all we need is a little nudge in that direction, and then we can buy this thing on the fire sale, right? That's what we really kind of looking at. Now, if you look at this little bounce here, this dead cat bounce, we can use extension levels to see, look, if we break below this low, where are we going next? Do we hit the extension levels 1.618, the 1.2618? Let's see what's happening here. Swing low to swing high. You can see 1.27, and look what's in very, very tight confluence, the golden pocket 1.618 extension level, and very confluent with this bottom of the volume gap and this little wick price action. So we get a bit of confluence here to potentially spam that buy order, especially if we see the momentum get fully oversold. Now let's take a look at the MACD to see if we get some more confluence there. EMAs are still facing down, fine. We got a pale green histogram forming. We have had one in the past that faked everybody out, and the question is it done? Are the bears done pushing to lower levels? Slightly upward sloping. You can see the histogram bars are getting smaller over time, and so is the MACD. At the end of the day, you can see we made a nice low here, and then we're making another higher low. And as the price action is coming down, right? The price action is coming down. And now we're finally getting this Class B bullish divergence at horizontal. Guys, this is not a bad time to consider buying the dip and reserving a bit of capital to buy here at lower levels. Okay, so this is a DCA opportunity for sure. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another green arrow just to show you that this support, this white line that we've been talking about for a good while, is actually holding up not only once, but for the second time. And that's a good sign of potential support. And the fact that it's slightly higher, it means that we're not chipping away at the supply or the band here that is actually acting as support. Okay, we're not chipping away at it. If it was a slightly lower low, or at least an actual double bottom that's really to the cent, maybe we're chipping away at it a little bit, but not really. As we speak, we can see that we created a slightly higher low. The momentum is definitely crunching away here. Look at this. It's squeezing. We could see a expansion move any moment now out of this consolidation. The Bollinger Bands is a great indication to show you that the momentum is contracting, but you can see visually this price action is going sideways, right? Very, very tight in a very tight range. And speaking of this consolidation, many individuals can call this a inverse cup and handle. Now, is this a nice cup? Not really. It's not nicely rounded. It's a very sharp retracement, but the overall sentiment still holds. Some may argue that this looks like a inverse head and shoulder, head, and maybe we're building our shoulder here. Maybe it's very possible. But what's most important, forget the patterns. What's most important is that we got a deep retracement. We are now consolidating. This could be a bear flag. This could be a consolidation for bears to get in and accumulate for another impulsive move to the downside where we actually break this support and come down to lower levels. So this is where you got to get in now, guys. You got to make some decisions. Do you have the conviction where you're going to be DCAing, or are you going to get all in right now and reserve no capital for lower levels? Guys, that's a bit risky. I would be DCAing right now. I would be slow and steady accumulation, because I think we have some time here to accumulate TAO in the next couple months to come. All right, guys, thank you for stopping by. If I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a huge favor. Slap that like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join tonight at 7:30 Eastern, where I cover a lot of altcoins, crypto news, and price action for sure. And if you have any requests, I'll definitely put them in top priority. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.